Hi there, this is Wafa Al-Abaidat. You're listening to the Women Power Podcast, a subsidiary platform to the Women Power Summit, the largest event in MENA, with the aim of empowering women and helping them achieve their absolute highest potential. Each week on the Women Power Podcast, you will hear honest, vulnerable, authentic, real conversations from inspiring women. These women will share their experiences and stories into what it takes to build a successful business and career. The podcast will share insight and inspiration and hopefully inspire action and lead change. Known by her Instagram handle, The Real Foz, Foz Al Fahd is a world-renowned beauty and social media influencer. Her undeniable skills as a makeup artist have drawn in over 3 million plus followers to her Instagram account and made her one of the most sought-after makeup influencers within the Middle East. On The Real Foz, which she refers to as her alter ego, she shares a collection of stunning images, from beautiful makeup creations to bright and bold outfits. Foz also runs her own salon, The Real Foz Beauty Salon, and has a beauty line by the name By Foz Beauty. Welcome, Foz. I know, we're at the end kind of normalizing COVID and just going through this experience, but how has it been for you for the last, couple of months? I'm sure you're running at 100 miles an hour and then all of a sudden it's like, stop. Did you struggle with that change?
Of course I did, because as a person, I love running around. Even if it wasn't work, I have to do something every day. I have to do something. I cannot just stay still. So right before the lockdown and what happened with the pandemic, I got married 2 days before. So that was a good start. It was more of a break for me, just to have a break. It was more of a realistic pause, that it was just like a slap where I'm like, you know what? It's time to really calm down. And then so when I did, I'm like, okay, this is nice for a week, 2, and then I'm like, no. I'm like, I have to do something. And I'm like, I started adapting. Usually I don't really adapt. I just go with the flow. But this time around, it was like, I really needed to calm down and just like reprioritize everything, rework everything out. Anything I had hanging around, so any issues that it was when it's related to work. And it was more like of a rebooting thing. So then with the pandemic, especially here in Kuwait, because it's been going on, we're still on partial lockdown. So you don't really have all day to work. And I work 12 to 14 hours a day, every day. So being at home, I started to adapt. I started working out. I started to do things that are actually healthy for my brain, just to keep it working, even if it wasn't work related, because a lot of people slow down. And what's really nice about my job is that I'm online all the time. So when I'm online, I'm still communicating with people. I'm still relatable to people. So that was the huge part that played a huge role in keeping me sane, because I was in the same place for 4 to 5 months, and I'm like, but a lot of things have been changing. And then I started buying outfits. I started doing outfit posts at home. I've literally used every single angle of the house for these past 5 months. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start doing stuff that make me feel good. Tanning, working out, doing like a makeup tutorial, working on my brand. We also did a lot of construction work during the partial lockdown on my salon. So it was very useful for us to go back to those things that were just hanging around that needed to be fixed.
You said that you got married 2 days before COVID. The hardest year for me when I got married was the first year.
Everyone says, yeah.
One of us was going to go. Like, it was like we were in a war zone. Like, someone was going to come out of this house alive after a year. And then, subhanAllah, second year, we became like, best friends living together. But it was a real struggle in the beginning. Just to go from having the freedom to move and then to both be in lockdown together. Did you find that challenging with your husband, or did you find that actually you guys have become so close?
I feel like, like how everyone says, the first year is like the worst. For me, we mushed up that year in those 3 to 4 months. So now I think we're good. So now it's easy. We're buddies. We're chill. And then now, wasli marhala, we don't want to annoy each other because you can't go anywhere. So let's just have peace in the house.
Just, white flag.
Yeah, white flag.
How has your life changed since you've been married? I know for me personally, I'm such an independent, strong woman. And I've found that I've had to really compromise a lot sometimes when I post stuff on Instagram. Now there's just someone that is with me giving me feedback. Like I have to make sure he's okay, and I got pregnant, and then I have to make sure he's at home with the baby sometimes if I want to go out. Now there's like a layer of someone to kind of discuss things with. It's not like I can do whatever I want anymore. So did you have that with your husband? Did you have to like compromise?
So one of the things that really helped us out in our relationship is that my partner is very encouraging with what I do. And I also realized that it's such a hard job to be involved with someone who's so public. So I sort of appreciate that part from his side because I know I can't do it. There is no way that I would be able to put up with it. So صراحة يعني hats off for him. And he went through a lot with me even before we got married. And then after we got married, I went through, this whole pandemic. People were like suppressed at home, and then they were just judgmental over every word, everything. And then I think because there was this phase where I'm like, oh yeah, she got married, so she's bigger now. So there's a lot of things that they would criticize. And I felt like he was always that one person that I can go to that would keep me real and keep me grounded. He would always be very realistic that he's like, I'm not a fan. Like, you need to understand. It's not about me being a fan. It's like, I'm here to tell you 1, 2, 3. If I made a mistake, he would tell me. But in general, in life, I feel on social media, I do start to consider his feelings a little bit more than I used to. I have to admit.
So does your husband ever feel jealous when he sees different people kind of connect to you through social media and in a way that he might find inappropriate?
I think that's where my job is, where, I have a lot of relationships, and I know a lot of people, and I know just in general when it comes to work or socializing, it's my job. For me, since, to be honest, he didn't really like the idea of being with someone on social media, which is weird because then he married me. And then I'm like, okay, so now we have to figure it out. And then he was okay with a lot of things, just a few things you have to tweak here and there. And I'm like, you know what? It's better for me because it's better for the relationship. At the end of the day, you don't want to have that headache. It's not about letting go of the things you believe in. It's more about finding that balance between you and your partner. So he appreciates a lot of my work, and he really respects what I do, and he has very high opinions of what I do. So that's also nice to know that it's there. It's not like he's not against it 100%, but he does really encourage me and support me with a lot of decisions and stuff that we're doing. But other than that, when it comes to relationships and all of that, it's my job to have that barrier when you think it's going too far, or maybe it's going to be hurting someone else's feelings, because I wouldn't want to do that. Not just to him, to anyone. When you have friends that sometimes if you hang out with, she's like, so why are you there and why are you here? It's the same thing with your husband. But at the same time, what's good about the relationship between him and I is that we are more friends, and we weren't friends. But right now it's like we're more like buddy, and it's chill. So if he has something that he's annoyed of, he would tell me. It's the communication is key.
How have your parents been dealing with your success? I know that in your YouTube series, they were so supportive, but have they ever been like, Foz, tone it down or just stop?
Yeah. We always have that conversation. It's always one day I'm doing really well, and then one day they're like, you know what, you need to calm down. And then another day it's like, you know what, if it's too much, you need to stop. I feel like they always find the right things to say for every situation. They are always supportive of what I do. But at the end of the day, when it starts affecting me or people who are my family or direct people who are who are around my life, people do get affected, and that's when they start trying to make me feel better. But at the end of the day, it is a huge and awesome, strong support system.
That's so amazing. I have been watching some of your interviews. I have to tell you, and this is something that I want to tap into. I don't know, have you been media trained? I'm really curious because I find that you are so diplomatic when you answer your interviews in a great way. I find that some of the interviews, يعني أحس the intention of the person when they interview you is that يبون يصيدونك في شيء. They want you to fall. And you navigate so beautifully. So you win the people over, you win us over when you talk. And then you put yourself in a non-controversial situation, even if the question asks for controversy. So have you been trained to deal with these media interviews, or do you feel like this is something natural that comes to you?
I think I haven't been trained, no, but I think it's natural when it comes to me because I'm very realistic of what's going on around me. I don't really go in any interview in a negative mindset, because at the end of the day, I know a lot of interviews that I have done have tried to ask some questions where you would look bad. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen. Because you know what? I'm a nice person, so like ask me nice questions, you know what I mean? So why are you trying to make me look like the bad guy?
No, but when I watch them, I'm just like, they're tough questions that you've been asked before.
Yeah, because we have tough media around here, so you better be ready.
We have such nice media in our country.
You guys are really nice.
Thank you. What you're doing now is, very few people have as much of a community as you do, like individuals. So the higher, I don't want to say followers, but the bigger your community is, the less people there are. So who do you go to when you have a crisis or a challenge? Like there's been a couple of things like, your picture with Ronaldo and just stuff which personally I feel is just so ridiculous, like so blown out of proportion. But like people like drama, and I think they're bored and they want to create for whatever reason. So my question is, do you have like a team that you go to, or mentors or advisors, and you're like, Shasawi, like, what is this? Or do you have a process of dealing with some of these challenges yourself?
To be honest, this is going to be really weird. It has nothing to do with my work life, but it's my mom. I always go back to her and I'm like, look, 1, 2, 3 is going on. She has nothing to do with what I do, but she gets it. I think because she's a mom. And she gets it, honestly. Like, she always has the right answers. It's really weird. You go around, you do whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, she's right. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? At first, it's annoying. And then at second, I'm like, you know what? I should have heard her from the first time. And then I'm like, you know what? She's right. But from the very beginning, even like in my personal life, I've been through a lot when it comes to, I don't know, like issues we've tackled, rumors, a lot of things. So I sort of started out having thick skin because I was always raised to have thick skin. So maybe that played a huge part with me having to deal with what I deal with almost on a daily basis.
A lot of people talk about cyberbullying and just being attacked. But in that moment when you're getting thousands of messages, just like being so mean, how do you process that? Do you block? Do you put your phone down? Do you read everything and then strategize? Do you cry? Like, how do you process that?
Honestly, it's different every single time. For me to be very realistic, I have to tell you, I do get annoyed because some things are it's just out of line. So when it comes to all of these things that I do go through, when it comes to people being negative or cyberbullying or people, for me, what's the most annoying thing in life, I hate when men comment on how women look like or have something to say about how she looks like. And if you search some of sometimes I do comment back, I make a joke out of it, وأهزئ هالريال, but it's a joke. So I feel like this is one of the things that I really do hate. I do not mind women giving their opinions. At the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But when it comes to how you look like, what you weigh, what you do in life, just being judgmental in general is not okay. But at the end of the day, I have to be realistic that these things do happen. We do live in a society where you're being judged all the time. Whether you're pregnant, you gave birth now, you gave birth a year before, whether you lost weight. I mean, I lost weight and I never got good comments about that. And then when I gained weight, I never had good comments about it. I'm like, you know what? People are never happy. And I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, do it. So for me, when I go through all of these things, the first thing I do is put my phone down. If I do read every comment, and I am currently in a situation where I am so not going to read any comment or any tweet or anything on social media when it comes to myself. That's what keeps you sane. If you want to go crazy, if you want to overreact, if people, they want to push you to a point where you react. And when you react, that's it, you're done. Because then you're the weak point for them, that they got a reaction out of you. And again, I don't want to say I've been on social media for, let's say, 5 years now. And the majority of my followers or the majority of people that I work with, that I have a relationship with, it has been very positive. But you know what? You go through stuff in life. It's life. And you double that when you're on social media. So if you don't want to put up with that, don't be on social media. Just take your emotions out of it. It's not personal. It's just people just trying to go wild over something that's so silly. And you know what? I'm like, you know what? Let them be. Let them say what they want to say. Let them feel good about themselves. And then you know what? Life goes on. I cannot reply to every single thing that they say because it's not realistic. People know me online, but you don't really know me. I show you what I want to show you.
Comments are easy, but then what do you do on WhatsApp? So let's say, you know what, I'm not going to read it. And then all of a sudden your WhatsApp is like, so then do you open up, like, do you delete or do you remove or?
No, at first, let me tell you, I went through a 6-month phase where I had no WhatsApp. I removed my WhatsApp. Yeah, but I have another phone that's a private phone that I do communicate with, for example, close friends, my team, my family. But the work phone that I decided to call it work phone because everyone knows it, I deleted the WhatsApp app. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it because it's not that it's negative, because not a lot of people are rude on WhatsApp, because at the end of the day you have their details and then they're just scared you're going to do something about it. But you do get a lot of stuff. I get a lot of weird things. People say weird things. I don't know where they come from. And even the negative stuff, I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm going through this phase where people are criticizing me, but then I'm like, I don't know these people. You know what I mean? I don't know, like, this guy who's upset that I have a picture of like an outfit, and they're like, so why'd you wear this color today? I'm like, because I want to, you know, but then I can't reply. But you know, some things really do get silly when you think about it. And for me, I'm a very realistic person. When I make a mistake, I know I made a mistake. And I've come out a lot of times. I do apologize for some stuff. I do still to this day regret some stuff that I did say that were just silly. Like Sabah Shari, you know, it was trending. I'm like, you know what? It's such a silly thing. And I'm like, it's not worth it. So it's not worth the reaction. But you know, some things that are really big and really serious issues, you do have to come out and talk about it. It's because you're brave and you just want to talk about it.
I work with influencers. I know roughly how much they charge, how much they make. For someone like me, I'm very familiar with the pricing because, you know, the pricing increases as their followers increase. So I know that these numbers are normal if you do the math of how many endorsements you get. So you kind of can figure out how much. So to me, that these numbers are not weird. But for somebody who has no idea what this industry is about, they're like, لا لازم في سالفة. Because, and I explained, Tara, you guys don't know this is, and globally, if you go speak to somebody on that level, they'll probably charge the same thing. It's just you don't know the industry. So I understand people's curiosity about it, but what bothered me is it felt like they wanted the influencers to fail. Like, it's too much success. No,
it was more like a scandal that does not exist. You know what I mean? And I don't really want to comment about this issue because we obviously, it's a legal matter right now. But I'm so proud of everyone that's on social media from Kuwait, especially because this is the case that we're talking about. They're strong, they're powerful people. They have really worked so hard to be where they're at right now. It is sad, but it is something that we do have to go through in order to prove ourselves right and in order to defend ourselves. This is some things in life, again, that might not be so pleasurable, but you have to go through it. And it is very hard because we've been dealing for this for about a month right now, and I feel it's just a lot of tension. But other than that, to be honest, I'm very proud for everyone that's on the list because apparently they're doing a really good job.
When you talked on Snapchat, I felt you were just sick of it. Like, I'm sick of this. Did you feel like it toned down? Because sure, you schooled people, which I liked. Like, you drew a boundary. Did it have a positive reaction or a negative reaction?
It had more of a negative reaction. Because I don't know, I feel like sometimes people just want you to like shut up. You're like, you know what? We know you're doing this, so shut up. And I'm like, no, I'm not. But I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I made a comment about the issue the first day that we went through this whole thing, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to talk about it again unless we're done. But it is very, very stressful. It's very stressful on myself and on everyone around me. To be honest, it's been the worst period for years. And I'm like, you know, inshallah we go through it, and I know that inshallah we will. But again, it has a lot to do with a lot of things. So like, I'm not one to talk about these things, but to be very realistic, does affect you.
It's just so crazy because it's like a triple threat. It's like the pandemic, and then this issue, and then you just got married. So all of these kind of pressure cooker.
Yeah. And my husband's like, and I'm like, do you regret anything? He's like, no. Are you sure? Because once I got married, everything went crazy.
I saw your YouTube series a while ago in her profile. Why are you smiling? Is it something cringeworthy? Wala?
Yes, it was like keeping up on the Kardashians with on a budget. I talked about this issue before. Honestly, it was one of the biggest mistakes I've done in my life. I've also said that in a lot of interviews. It became more commercial. It became more about the people who are working, and it became more about making money off of me rather than having something to do with me. And then legally I had to go through with it, and then legally I had to deal with it. And it's not a shame, but I do regret doing that because it was just not me.
I want to talk a bit about the moment you felt you transitioned from being an influencer into a business owner or an entrepreneur. What was the moment you realized, you know what, I have funds now, I have raised a lot of capital, I don't want it to just sit there, I want it to work for me, created your salon, and then you also have your line of makeup. So what motivated you to become more than an influencer?
Back at uni, I studied finance. And then after I graduated, I worked in a university here in Kuwait. And I felt the day that I quit my job was the day that I decided that I wanted to change everything that has to do with my work life, whether it was on social media or in general, my job, my career. So having or owning a salon has always been a dream of mine since I was back in uni. And my mom's the one that's managing the whole salon, and she's in love with it, and she she's there every day. She does an amazing job with the salon. And for me as well, that is also a business that I would like to rely on, because at the end of the day, social media, you don't really know where it was going at the time. So that's when it comes to owning a beauty salon. And makeup, if people or whoever's followed me way back in 2015, they would have seen the post where I used to do makeup workshops. I used to work a lot with makeup. So when I started my beauty brand, it's something that I've always been passionate about. I have always wanted to have a beauty brand. And again, being in the Middle East, you don't really have a lot of Middle Eastern brands when it comes to the beauty world. So this was something that I always wanted to do. I always like to do stuff by my own. I don't like to go with what people are doing. That's something that I've noticed a long time ago. So I didn't create a beauty brand because someone else did it, or had a salon because I wanted to be like this girl. No, it was just stuff that I wanted to do to just excite me all over again, because I get bored really easily. So I just always need to have something crazy going on. Having a salon is completely crazy. It's hard to manage, it's hard to work. It's just a lot going on. So these are one of the things that I like to do. So now that we do have our Bifo is my beauty brand, I'm always looking for new launches, for new products. And I always focus on our region, not just the Middle East, the Arab world in general, because I feel like Arab women deserve a lot of support for them to create their own brands or to do whatever, whether it was beauty, fashion, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I feel like for the last couple of years, a lot of women have been doing a lot of things. They do what they want. They change their career paths whenever they want. They find opportunities, they go ahead and go do it. I feel like women have been so much stronger, especially in the last 2 to 3 years. Again, this is what I see on social media and what I see around me. So this is not something that's very specific, but I do see a lot of women going after what they like and what their heart really loves. And I always say, I've said this a lot of times, women have become the men they wanted in their lives. And I'm like, you know what? Bravo, go ahead and do what you want, do what you like. And for me, that's what makes me happy, because I've done so many things that it's not a list. It's not something that you want to do. It always changes. So I feel like people are more okay with change now, more than ever, especially women. They don't mind the change because we were never programmed for change. We're just one thing. Either get married, you have kids, you're done. You're at this job for 15 years, same desk, same office, it's done. You're on this salary, you're on this. I'm like, no, there's a lot of opportunities. And I feel like women have been working on themselves way more harder than before. And I don't know if it has something to do with social media, because everything's available now and easier when you're online.
This podcast is brought to you by O'Brien Hill. O'Brien Hill is a leading communications agency focusing on public relations, event management, and marketing. It's made up of a fantastic group of creatives in the design and PR fields. The agency first came to life in 2010 as my brainchild. Our creative consulting services were in demand in the UK after our online publication Sketchbook became an overnight success. Much like a proud mama, our agency's namesake is attributed to the place of its inception, Notting Hill. It's now 10 years later and we're one of the leading communication agencies in town, and we as a team are incredibly proud to be working on this very podcast behind the scenes. Check us out on www.obayandhill.com. Let's focus on the makeup brand. How did you start that up? What was the process of coming up with this concept?
So this concept is about a full-on partnership where I have personally invested in this brand. And when I say invested, I do mean financially, not just by putting my name on it. I've also invested a lot of emotions and hard work and sweat, because it did take 3 years for us to create this brand, because we did create it from scratch. And again, the whole idea of Bifos is that it's for the women who are on the go. And if you see our Instagram page or all the products, it's all about the clicking mechanism. It's all about products that are easier to carry around, put in your handbag, being on a plane, going to your meetings, being a mom, running around getting your kids from school or tuition or whatever. It's all about women who are on the go, because I was a woman who was on the go. And I always used to have a lot of issues with carrying and organizing my makeup. Now we have this clicking mechanism where you can just click to, for example, sticks, whether it was a concealer or contour, and just have them in your bag and you're good to go. We had a multi-purpose palette that was limited edition. It was sold out crazy. We had I think around 50,000 palettes. And then it was no longer limited edition, so we had to stop. But it's all about being on the go. The palette was about having your bronzer, blush, and eyeshadows and contours all in one. It's more for the women who are busy, who are in charge of their lives, they want to achieve their goals, who are busy. It's all about that woman. And again, when it comes to the ingredients in our products, it's all about ingredients that are actually good for Arab women, being from the region, because it does depend on the weather, your genes, whether it was color discoloration, all of that. We really wanted something for Arab women, so who are on the go.
Why did you choose to only sell it through one outlet?
First of all, I was on that online platform, so that was one. Two, I could have went to retail, but I'm a huge believer on online marketing and online sales, because that is who I am, and that is what I see, and that is what I've learned for the past 5 years. And if you do realize this year, especially with the whole pandemic and everything, people are online. So imagine if I was on retail stores, it would have been such a bad move. But again, the brand is such a baby. We launched on the 20th of April last year. So it is a year and a half, almost a year and 4 months old. So we still are expanding as a brand. Retail might be in the near future, depending on how things are going right now. But for me, I'm very happy with where I'm at right now, because this is what I do online.
When you're an influencer, brands kind of tell you, listen, this is what we want you to do. But I think when you have your own brand, you're like, this is what I want to do. So you get to be free almost from all those constraints of dealing with clients or different brands.
And then that is why I did decide to invest, because I do want to have a say in it.
Is it a profitable business or not yet?
It's doing really well.
And your salon, is that a profitable business? Is it doing well?
We were on full lockdown, so we were shut down since March. Obviously, that's not good for business. Again, we as well, it was February 8th of 2018, so it's still as well pretty young. It's been around 2 years and a little, but it is doing really well. It is as well a profitable business, but again, I cannot compare my income to other businesses' income, so because everything is different.
How big is, the Foz Al Fahd team? So how many people are behind the scenes on your payroll working on all these different projects?
You're talking about all the businesses? It's 40 plus.
Is there any more than those two, or is that it?
No, I do work on distributing a lot of brands. I have a huge interest in distribution because I just love the beauty world, and I just love looking for new brands that would do well in the region. I've been loving skincare, so that's a lot of stuff that I've been looking through. But we always have something going on. We always have something new that we want to do, and I feel that's what keeps us motivated and just like we never stop.
So 40 people, do you interview them all yourself, or do you have somebody that interviews them and brings them on board? Are you picky with who you bring to your team?
It depends. For example, if you're talking about the salon, this is not something that it's not my expertise, so I cannot tell you if this employee is a good employee or not. But we do have HR in the salon, and plus my mom's there, so you can't go through my mom unless you're a really good person. That's one for the salon. When it comes to my beauty brand and when it comes to my personal team, it is a personal connection and it is a personal relationship. I mean, my team, we're on flights, we're on 12-hour flights, we're going for 2 days with no sleep. We're eating together, we're sleeping together, we're going back. So you have to be really good with these people. And for me, if I don't build a personal relationship, it's not going to work, because this isn't a job where you just go and you just check in at 9 and leave at 5. We work all day, every day. So even people who work with me understand that concept or that lifestyle. We seriously have no lives.
So what I wanted to know is, how come you've chosen not to share the behind the scenes with your followers? So a lot of this information is new to me. What is the reason for you not showing us the office and the team and, all the, the gritty things, maybe things that don't look as glamorous?
Because I don't think it's good for business to be that open when it comes to your work life or how you get, my job is to show the people the end result. And I feel like it looks better. And again, it's not that easy to be showing people what goes on behind the scenes, because it is crazy. It is weird. People might not get it. And there's a lot of people that are involved that are very private and have nothing to do with this whole thing. So I just want that balance, because in order for my work to be going through smoothly, people have to really be working comfortably.
Have you ever lost a huge amount of following on Instagram through one of the many controversial things that have happened and it shocked you?
I didn't have like a James Charles moment, no, like where he lost like 3 million subscribers, but I did have the little unfollow, follow. It was over something that was so silly. People thought I made a comment about having hair that looked like Korean people's hair, because I'm obsessed with Korean skincare and hair care. So I said something about it being so smooth, and people were like, you're making fun of Koreans and Korean music bands or this like group. I don't know what happened, and I had like huge backlash, and I'm like, what did I say? I'm like, I had to go back, and I'm like, I don't get why people are offended, but that was one of the times that I was shocked from the commenting or the unfollowing. But then again, it takes 48 hours for any scandal online, so we're good.
Do you have a full team of creatives supporting you that's fully dedicated to helping you style, photograph, and help you with any makeup, etc.? Or do you do it per project? Like per project, you call up certain people?
We do have some people that we work with per project, and then we do have people that have signed contracts to be full-time. And then when it comes to makeup, I don't really like getting my makeup done with anyone, because again, unless it's like a huge photo session or a photo shoot for something that we're launching or something, but other than that, my daily is just me getting my makeup done. Hair, the salon, our outfits is usually, we do hire stylists from time to time, but in general, the daily stuff that we wear is just us. That's just like our closet.
How do you find the joy in doing this every day, sometimes reapplying it throughout the day? How is that pleasurable for you?
I think it's just something you have to love to begin with. As I said, I was always passionate with makeup from before I started the social media thing, but and before the brand. So other than that, if I was going to, I don't know, try to tell you to use more makeup, I would say just do what you like. It's not about having a full face. Sometimes it's just about putting on some like lip gloss and setting spray and just some mascara and just leaving the house. It's not a full face of glam every single day, because that's not makeup. And again, I never really liked or believed in having like layers on layers on layers, but I do love to contour. I love playing around with makeup. This is just something that I would do even if I was free. But again, it depends on what you like. So maybe if you were, I think you would probably be into some lip balm and some lip gloss, or a little bit of creamy blush. You know what I mean? Something that's simple, because I do like that look as well. So it just depends on what you like.
You work really hard. I know that you do, because the amount of content that comes out, يعني مو بشوي, it's a lot of content. You have other things that you work on. You're always on the go. Do you get frustrated when people pigeonhole you and other influencers like, hi Tafaha, she has no brain, she doesn't think? So does that bother you at all, or, that's just noise and you just ignore it?
I feel like that's just noise, because at the end of the day, when you sit down and you look at the numbers and you look at the following and you look at what you make out of your businesses and how you've worked so hard, and to be completely honest, أول مرة من بلشت هذا المجال إن أنا قدرت شغلي وايد. أول مرة, to be honest, I felt like, my God, like I did so much, and I've تحملت وايد من هالكلام. But again, if I would have been frustrated if they weren't watching. But you can say all you want, بالنهاية أنا عارفة شغلي, and people who work with me or who work around me know what we do. Oh, it's not, I'm not trying to be like very confident right now, but it's about, I just really appreciated what I've done for the past 5 years. I really appreciate what I did. بس هي تقدير. مو إن I did something wow. لا, I don't have to do anything wow for anyone. بس أنا حق نفسي وفي حياتي وفي عمري at this point كل اللي سويته ب5 سنين شيء ما كنت متوقع إن أنا سويته. بس because بهالفترة قاعدة, I'm going through a lot of stuff, and I go back to what I did, and I'm like, wow, I did a really good job. 5 سنين وناس أسمع كلام سلبي أو ينقال لي كلام سلبي, which again is not the majority, but it does. Even if one guy comes in and says something, or one girl says something, it might affect you. But going through all of that for 5 years, I think I did a pretty good job. حتى الناس اللي معي بالمجال, I think they did a really good job.
So I know that when you're financially free, you feel powerful as a woman. It gives you more choices in life. You don't need people, you want people. أحلى شيء أنا عندي إن أكون independent financially, because I feel good about myself. What motivates me as a business owner is growth. So I love getting profits at the end of the year and seeing, I love seeing the number in my company bank account grow and grow and grow. So my question to you is, does that motivate you? Do you have financial targets? So when you look at your مثلا at the beginning of the year, تحطين لك هدف in this year I want to make X amount of money, or I want to make 30% more than next year? Or do you feel like, I'm organic, it's fluid, I do what I feel, or I don't look at the numbers?
It is a little bit of both, because we do have monthly targets, but at the same time that does not mean that I have to be stretched out and doing everything. No, there are a lot of things that we say no to. There are things that are realistic when it comes to growth. I don't have to be very overly confident. I'm like, why didn't we make this much this year? It's not that. It's more about growing as a name rather than actually making profit when it comes to me on social media. But again, as أكيد, when you have a business and you're a business owner, you want to see that growth. But I'm very realistic with when it comes to growth. So it's not something that I wanted to skyrocket and then drop back.
Do you pay yourself a salary?
I get paid, but I don't pay myself a salary, no.
Okay, so the number you take every month, because I think when you become a business owner, يعني sometimes you get forced by whatever auditor, like just to have a regular. So do you have a regular income, or you're like, I feel like buying this, so I'm just gonna spend whatever, like I work hard, so I'll treat myself?
I think I'm very smart when it comes to spending money. Sometimes I do like to spoil myself a little, because sometimes I feel like, I'm on vacation, I want to have fun, you want to go shopping, whatever the reason was. But again, we do go yearly budgets and auditing, so I do know what I'm spending yearly, but it's nothing over the top. Honestly, most of my finances have been into investments, and whether it was businesses or whatever it was that I wanted to invest in, because that's how my brain works.
I know in the beginning, you do some free work. Maybe you're invited by a big global brand, like they'll give you the flight and the hotel. So you do it because you love the brand and you want to go to Fashion Week or whatever. But, eventually you're like, if it's not worth my time, I'm not going to do it. Do you still today, at the stage you're in, say, I'll do this for no money, but because I like this brand? Or do you feel like my time has value and that value has a price?
Okay, so when you're talking about Fashion Week, it's a whole other different issue. Fashion Week, everyone is excited to be there, whether they're paid or not. It's just somewhere you want to be at, because it's good for business. It's good, you meet people, and you're at the fashion shows with all your favorite brands. But when it comes to barter deals, when it comes to like, I don't know, like, are we talking about being gifted a gift and then doing some promotion? We don't really do that. I haven't really done that before. I do sometimes, honestly, I think I did it a lot for my husband's friends, the most. I was really nice, but other than that.
Do you want to share the story of how you guys met?
Yeah, we met, we had a mutual friend. We met at an event, and we got to know each other. And then it's not that dramatic or romantic, but it's like a nice story. But it's a normal story where two people get to meet each other and we got married. It's really weird, but yeah.
I find that you're so confident, like at least in your TV interviews, you're very confident, but you're also very humble. Do you practice any positive affirmations?
I feel like I deal with every day differently because every day is different. Sometimes I feel like I want to talk to myself when it comes to, for example, my marriage, if I feel like I should be doing better here or if I'm doing not so good here. When it comes to my work life as well, I'm always thinking about what I can do better. And I feel like that's one of the things that if you do have yourself get used to it, talking to yourself and trying to do better with whatever you're doing, it doesn't have to be something specific. You start to automatically work at that mentality. So you just have to keep it going.
Are you hard on yourself?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I feel like I work better under pressure. If I'm comfortable, I get way too comfortable. You're like laughing. Yeah. If I like sleep a little bit, if I sleep in, I'm sleeping all day.
Do you have a morning ritual? Do you do like meditation? Do you journal? Do you read?
I do this weird thing because I have issue with sleep. Meditating before sleep, it's like a guided meditation, and that helps me sleep. And I'm like, I need sleep. So that's one of the things that I do on a daily, but that's more on the later part of the day. But usually our schedule is crazy. Like you wake up, you run, and then you come back, you relax, and then that's when I start working on my own health and my mental state. So
do you ever slow down, like when you go on a break or vacation, or even when you're on vacation, you're like on your phone and you're on your email and you're connected?
I always like to be involved with my work. So whether it was emails or posting, or I'm always involved. So there's no time off, which I like.
But do you ever burn out? You become exhausted physically, mentally, and you have like a breakdown, you start crying?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have your breakdowns or cry, you won't really be normal. You have to have that little laqtat l'inhiyar just so that you go back to normal again. You have to get out of your system.
So let's say you burn out, you're exhausted physically, mentally, you're tired. Do you cancel some of the projects you have coming up or you postpone them so you can relax?
No. I really respect our work relationship. I would never be committed with you on a date or time and just not show up. That's not something I would do. Or postpone, maybe, if there was something huge going on. But cancel on anyone, no.
But then how do you recover?
I travel. I would be working while traveling, but just the fact that I'm somewhere else is just a good thing for me.
What is your biggest fear, Foz?
I really don't like to be disappointed with whatever it is, like whether it was a person or a relationship or my work life or whatever it is. Like I don't really like to be disappointed because I work so hard and I'm like really straight. يعني أمشي سيدة نفس الساعة. I really expect that. So that's sometimes what might disappoint me.
One of the things I loved about your interviews, Foz, is you're so humble. I remember in one of the interviews, someone asked you do you see yourself as an inspiration to other women? She's like, and I think you said like, min ana, to inspire. I'm here to do my job and I'm focused on my job and I think with my head a lot. So you're very rational. But you've said that a few times in interviews, like, who am I, Tara? Like everyone calm down, Tara. You know what I mean? Like
I'm like I think they think I'm a bigger deal than I really am. That was my point. And at the end of the day, I'm just a normal woman working on what she likes. The only difference is I do it in public, but it's not any different than anyone else that's working or struggling in their private lives. But the only difference is that they see it publicly. But again, that's not a big deal.
It's so powerful when you say those things like ترى من أنا يعني I'm not a coach, I'm not certified, I'm not.
Exactly. لاني متخصصة بشيء ولا بأي مجال. Yeah.
It's very strange because it feels like you make yourself small, but at the same time you're very confident. So the combination, I don't know how that happens. I'm like, she's so humble when I watch that, but at the same time, انتي ما قاعد تصغرين من روحك. I don't know how you do that by saying.
لا ما تصغري من روحك. Yeah. You know, I appreciate يعني I respect so much what I do and how people think or how they see me as and what they see me as. But again, realistically, I feel يعني شوي مكبرين الموضوع زيادة. يعني again, I shouldn't be held accountable for any society or how you bring up your kids or how you should treat your partner or how يعني لأن في وايد أمور كانوا محاولين إن يدخلوني فيها. Just I'm not that person. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a mentor. I'm مو متخصصة بشيء. I'm living my life to inspire people to do their own thing. Don't do what I do if you don't like it. Just do your own thing. Learn at least. Let's respect إن في أشياء موجودة في الحياة. يعني نحترم وجودها. مو شرط نتفق معاها. نحترم وجودها إن you know what, X person I don't really like, but you know what, I respect what he or she does.
Have you worked with a brand that was so good to you that you were like, wow, بسوي لهم زيادة يعني I'll be more supportive of them? And have you had an experience where مثلا it was the worst experience working with a brand, disorganized, maybe rude, disrespectful? Can you tell us a bit about those experiences?
Again, every client we work with is different. Some people are really nice. Some people are very understanding. Some people can be just very straightforward. And some people are just like, you don't really get along with. And again, when it gets to that point where that stage of communication where we're talking about how to work together and I'm not comfortable, I would not go ahead. So I don't really have a lot of bad situations because if I'm not comfortable, I won't be doing the job right. And then it's a loss for everyone.
Is there a brand that stuck with you? The culture is good. They're so respectful. I loved working with them. I'd do it again.
Yeah, we've had those with a lot of brands. But again, it's an on and off relationship with everyone because at the end of the day, it is work. So I might be working with this brand for a year and then back out for 2 years and then go back for a year. But what I really like about how we work, it's like we always end things off on a positive note. There's not going to be any negativity or bad blood between us or any client or brand or.
A lot of women don't have the courage to be themselves online. They're scared or they're shy or they put themselves down like I have nothing to say. So they live behind private accounts, which is fine, but they have so much to share and so much they want to say. For somebody who puts herself out there every single day, good, bad, etc. You show up every day. Brene Brown's says you're going out to the battlefield, blood, sweat, and tears, like very vulnerable to anyone to say anything and to judge and to comment. What would your advice be for them to have more courage?
The only advice I would give anyone who wants to work on themselves and are worried about what other people think is that the day you stop comparing yourself to other people is the day that you'll actually start working on yourself. Because the problem is online that we see all of these girls and we see all of these guys and everyone that's doing well and everyone who's successful, but they do not show you the other side of life, which is where they're struggling, where there's tears, where there's arguments, where there's stress, or people are just tired. Reality is when you stop comparing yourself to other people, that's when you're going to know what you want and who you are as a person. Because when you start comparing, you want to be like other people, you start pretending and start acting differently, you start dressing differently, you start thinking differently. So it really affects your mental health because you see other people and what they're doing. So once you stop comparing, you start to work on yourself. And when you start to work on yourself, you start understanding what you really want, what you're really passionate about, what you really want to do, instead of being another just ziyadat adad. That's not what you want to do, because that's just a waste of time for everyone. That's a waste of time for people who are watching you. It's a waste of time for you. It's not going to get you anywhere. So when you start working on yourself and knowing what you want, that's when your success story begins. It's a lot of work. And it's a lot, and I know it's really hard for some girls to see other girls and what they're doing, what bag she's carrying, what she's wearing, where she's flying, where she's doing. She's married with kids, she's not married, she's single at 30, whatever. But when you really start realizing that everything happens for a reason, and all this time min salhij as a person, that's when you really start appreciating what you start to do for yourself. So I feel like, number one, do not compare. Stop comparing, especially online, because you see that a lot, and it really does have other girls struggle, as younger girls and as women, who look at each other and just start comparing themselves, and they are nothing alike.
Foz, this has been so inspiring getting to know you. It's been wonderful, and you're as lovely
Thank you so
as
much.
you have been in all your interviews. So, I think people can tell authenticity. So it's been really amazing. That's it for this week. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Woman Power Podcast. And thank you for downloading and streaming our podcast every week. If you love what you've heard, tag us on Instagram and follow the Woman Power Podcast and Woman Power Summit account for more information on our next episode. Please leave a rating review wherever you get your podcast. It really helps other women discover the show. That's it from me. See you next week.